If you are interested in seeing the Air Implosion Turbine Engine in full operation, then this video will be of interest to you. What you will see is a brief demonstration of the turbine running from startup to over 35,000 RPMs. Ron Rockwell will narrate the video and control the speed and operation of the turbine. You will see the Air Implosion Turbine Engine being operated by a remote-controlled throttle switch that regulates the internal flow of the contained ambient air. This is what controls the turbine's speed and power output. The turbine will be accelerated to 7,000 RPMs by the starter motor. Then the starter motor will automatically detach and the turbine will continue to run up on its own with no outside energy or fuel source. Using only the remote-controlled throttle, Ron Rockwell will accelerate the turbine, now running completely under its own power, to over 35,000 RPMs, then back down, then back up, and so on for a few cycles. Once the Air Implosion turbine reaches the required operational RPMs, it will continue to run on its own for extended periods of time, using only the ambient air contained inside of it, and with a generator, alternator, or other load attached to generate electricity, drive a transmission, or run other machinery. Here now is Ron Rockwell operating the Air Implosion Turbine Engine.
This is the aerodynamic air turbine engine that was originally designed and built by Haskell Carl. The one that you're looking at now is a new revised aerospace version that runs totally on air. There is no combustible fluids of any kind. There's no emissions of any kind. Mel Kirshner of North American Petroleum suggested we had to give it a name, so we named it the Crystal Ion. Certain parts of this are totally covered up. I've got black velvet covers on it so we can avoid people look-see copy on this, because I don't need looky-loos to try to reproduce this. This has taken a few years to rebuild and an enormous amount of expense in machinery and equipment to make this work. I've constructed a complete control panel, and we're going to fire this up in just a few minutes so you actually hear how this sounds. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and engage this, get air on for the clutch, kick the master panel on. This is the final drive system on it that resets the air from the forward compressors. Is very close to a jet engine design. It will take its own air, ambient air, and run on it. You don't need to run an air compressor tank to make this run. This will run on its own once you start it up and get it on its own. It'll take off and run strictly on its own. The stuff that you see today, having a compressed air tank, is kind of old school. This engine is capable of putting the same power as a 350 Chevrolet V8 engine out. And the torque factor, gear reducted down, will produce a lot more foot-pounds of torque. Jerry and Mel from North American Petroleum were two individuals that seen the future development with this air turbine engine, and it's a shame that they had to leave us so early. They had this pre-sold to China. They had the military here on the 15th, 16th, and 17th at North American Petroleum. This is in traditional Chinese. It says, "Welcome to reality, the end to fossil fuels." Haskell Carl is the original inventor of the original air turbine engine. It was tested at Wiley Testing Laboratory, and after they removed the engine from there because they couldn't figure out why it worked, then everybody that worked on it mysteriously disappeared along with the turbine. With the drawings and the numerous amount of information and photos, I was able to take and reduplicate this engine. I designed a remote control throttle control system for this, so it makes it easier to control the air intake system. This will totally revolutionize power as we know it today. You can actually take this in a 6-foot diameter unit, put it in a nuclear power plant, and you no longer need the reactor. This foot control that I designed and built, if you watch it this real carefully, you can push on this like an accelerator pedal. Watch what happens here when the air control works. This is your throttle response system. So I thought by making it with a foot feed on it, you'd get the idea. Watch how sensitive it is to the air controller. Even if you hit it hard. This kind of work all started clear back in 1959 as I continued doing a lot of intricate work. This aircraft that I built, all the flight controls actually physically worked on it. Even the canopies, shock absorbers, everything on it. In fact, about 3 years prior to this, I ran into Howard Hughes when I flew a glider that I designed and built with an 8-foot wingspan in National City, California. And then he took me up and showed me the Spruce Goose. He said, "How would you like to see one a little bigger?" Well, that was quite interesting with those 4 engines on backwards. But I continued this kind of challenge for a lot of years and led into a lot of advanced work in machining and never got away. This is a copy of the special power of attorney. Haskell Carl has one of the originals. I have one of the originals. This is a copy of the original, which is in the master file. We're going to be editing a lot of the information off of the films that were shot at Goldfield because a lot of it shows too much.